Welcome back to the UK tonight. It is the London Marathon on Sunday, of course, one of the premier road races in the world, but also one of the UK's biggest fundraising events. Last year, £63 million was raised for good causes, a figure that's likely to be surpassed by the thousands of runners taking part this weekend. Well, I'm pleased to say one of them who is running on Sunday is knife crime campaigner Laura Hughes. She is taking part. She set up the kNOwKnifeCrime group following the death of her brother Colin. And she raises money to buy bleed kits to be placed in the areas that need the most, all in her brother's memory. Well, Laura joins us live now from Liverpool, alongside A&E doctor Nicole Russell, who is the education lead for the bleed kit charity KnifeSavers. Ladies, good of you to join us on the UK tonight. First of all, Laura, Sunday, big day for you. Talk to me about the charity and why you want to raise money on Sunday for it.
So our campaign, No Knife Crime, is a youth anti-knife crime campaign that does work all across the country. We've got quite a strong foothold in the Northwest, and we do this in memory of Colin McGinty, who was my brother, who sadly died at the age of 21 in the year 2001 as a victim of knife crime and a terrible case of mistaken identity. And we fundraise in Colin's memory to be able to purchase and donate vital life-saving equipment, which is in the form of the KnifeSavers kits.
Yeah, talk to us about the KnifeSavers kits, otherwise known as bleed kits. I've got one with me in the studio here. Just have a look at it. They're quite small. This is the KnifeSavers kit here, bleeding control kit. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about why these are so important, Laura.
So I feel that these are so incredibly important because when I started doing a lot of campaign work, I was watching what the KnifeSavers team were doing, and I was blown away by the impact that they were having and by the fact that they're all medical staff that are behind KnifeSavers as a brand. So it was founded by one of the lead trauma surgeons in Merseyside. And when I explored what they do as a organisation, as a company, and what the whole purpose of a bleed control kit is, it's quite simple. Items within that kit will stop a person from losing too much blood because it can take about 7 minutes for an ambulance to arrive at an emergency scene, but it can take a person on average 5 minutes to lose enough blood for their heart to stop. So we see that victims of knife crime are getting younger, the story's getting much more tragic, and actually the deaths could potentially be avoided. So for me, as a campaigner, but also as a mum of a teenager, I feel like that's imperative to have these across the community.
Well, I'm going to bring in Nicole here to talk us through what's in the kit, because as she said, it's really simple, it's really small. You want them in key locations in towns and cities. I'm just going to start unpacking it. They're usefully labelled 1 to 3, the 3 steps that could potentially save a life. So, Nicole, over to you. I'm taking out the gauze strip first. Now, I was under the impression that you would have to, if you found someone who'd been stabbed, you'd have to apply pressure to the wound. But the bit of gauze here is for actually packing the wound, which many people won't realise. So talk us through it.
Yeah, so absolutely. The first steps would always be to get help available, to be able to be alert to what's going on around you, and then finding that bleeding point and putting pressure on that wound. But if that isn't enough and you do have a pack with you, then you've got some extra kit available. So the first thing that's in your hand there was the Celox gauze. That's a hemostatic dressing. That will go into the wound. What can look small on the outside can be quite deep on the inside. And that hemostatic dressing will encourage clotting at the base of that wound. You can see in that video there how that goes directly into that wound to pack that wound and encourage your body's clotting factor to really kick into action to help to create a clot.
Yeah, so it's packing the wound, isn't it? The second step is the bandage.
Yeah.
And then after that, if somebody's been stabbed in the arm or leg, there's a tourniquet as well. So it's literally the 3 steps. It's the packing with the gauze, the bandage, and then the tourniquet if needed.
Absolutely. It's very simple. 1, 2, 3. The trauma bandage will apply pressure, and the tourniquet adds that extra level on an arm or a leg. But again, just reiterating that pressure alone, even if you don't have that pack, one hand over each other at the other and putting that pressure on is enough to control majority of any major bleeding.
How much do these kits cost, Nicole?
So the kits are provided by a local supplier, Hughes Medical, and they are coming at £50. But it's not just about the kits, it's about the whole education around those kits. So we want this message to be as common knowledge as CPR, as the stroke signs in every single household. Big events like Sefton yesterday, we had 80 schools involved, all of whom have gone away and been able to talk to their friends, their relatives about exactly how to control the bleeding. And that is the most important part of this campaign, is that education.
Yeah, as you said, to be as well known as CPR. And Laura, what locations do you want to see bleed kits in? Because so many people will think, oh, this wouldn't happen on my street, this wouldn't happen in my town or village. But whenever we speak to people here on Sky News whose families have been affected by knife crime, they said exactly that before it did happen to them.
And I would completely back that up. I don't think knife crime discriminates from a postcode perspective, regardless of where you live. It can happen. So where we've got these kits in cabinets at the moment, outside schools, in public places, but the country's massive. We want to have these kits in cabinets, like the defib concept, in every public space where young people socialise, not just young people, everyone in general. So wherever you would see a defib cabinet as standard, we would want you to see a bleed control kit in a cabinet.
And I'm just going to show the pack again because they're quite distinctive, aren't they? I mean, we all know what a defibrillator looks like. Bright yellow, you see them outside village halls and supermarkets and things like that. You want this to be just as common a sight. And Laura, the education is such a big part for you as well after what happened to Colin. What do you say when you speak to young children about knife crime?
The whole angle in our assembly that I tend to do with young children is all around just being aware who your friendship circle is, being aware of the consequences of knife crime. So our campaign means two things. It means know about the consequences of knife crime, be educated around it, but also no, don't get involved in it. Stay away from it at all costs. And I talk a lot about like joint enterprise, about, simply just be aware of who you're socialising with, be aware of the vulnerability that you can put yourself in situations of. And then I talk quite a bit about Colin and what happened to Colin and the consequences to the people that killed Colin. And then we talk about what we campaign for and how they can get involved. So we don't tend to look backwards on what happened. We look forward and we try and get all these young people to become No Knife Crime youth ambassadors, which they are, and we empower them with ways in which they can get involved with the campaign and make their community safer.
Well, Laura, you're running for a fantastic cause on Sunday. How are the legs?
They're all right. They could be better. Ask me on Monday.
Oh, the adrenaline will get you through on Sunday. And thoughts of Colin as well. He'll be driving you onto that finish line. Best of luck. I hope you raise lots of money. And Nicole, a final word from you. If people want to see that video again or find out more information about bleed kits and what to do in an emergency, where should they head?
Come visit us our website, KnifeSavers.co.uk, and download the app, which will give you those exact steps of what to do with and without a bleeding control kit, all evidence-based.
Nicole Russell, A&E doctor, and Laura, thank you so much. And Laura, best of luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you.
Good night.